Hi, it's Pastor Paul L. Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. It is Triumphant Thursday. We thank God for the victory that comes in His name and His name alone. Today, I invite you to go with me to the Acts according to the Holy Spirit through and by the apostles, Acts the 8th chapter, verses 1 through 8. We find out that this is a very powerful passage. The passage finds us whereby we have seen that Stephen has been stoned to death. And now we find out that those who were the believers have been scattered. They are going through persecution. There was a great wave of persecution that was sweeping all over the church in Jerusalem. And all the believers, except the apostles, were scattered throughout the region of Judea and Samaria. It lets us see that the apostles, they were the only ones that were still together. Everyone else, they had left because of fear of their life. There were some devout men who came and they buried Stephen, and they did it with great mourning. They had great sorrow because they knew the powerful witness that Stephen was. Stephen stood up and preached the gospel, in so much so he was persecuted for doing the right thing. You know, oftentimes in this life, we find out people are not persecuted for doing the right thing. They're persecuted for doing the wrong thing. Wouldn't it be great if those of us who did the right thing did it and didn't mind what the consequences were? Well, we find out that Stephen was one who did the right thing. In the midst of all the persecution, he knew it was right for him to stand up, to share and preach the gospel. But Saul was the one who was going around trying to destroy the church. This was Saul of Tarsus. This was the guy who went about persecuting the church. He made sure that he was the one who was responsible for Stephen being stoned. We even find out that it shares with us earlier that they laid their garments at the feet of a young man named Saul. This was Saul of Tarsus, the one who went about persecuting the church. Now we begin to see, as the believers are scattered, somebody had to preach the good news. Well, those disciples started preaching the good news. I'm so happy in verse 5, it tells us, for an example, there was a man by the name of Philip. Philip, he was in the city of Samaria. He told the people there about the Messiah. The crowds listened intently. And Philip, because they were so eager to hear the good news, he was able to do miraculous signs. There were many evil spirits that were cast out. People found them being persons who are now being delivered, being healed. This good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ was spread all over the region. Everybody wanted to know and wanted to hear more about this Jesus. It lets us see that even in the midst of persecution, even in the midst of tragedy, people still wanted to hear the truth. They were not concerned about what would happen to them, but they knew it was important for them to know the truth. My brothers and sisters, this become a lesson that is so powerful for all of us. We must remind ourselves it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter the persecution. The Bible begins to remind us to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. These disciples understood the importance of sharing the good news of the gospel, because the Bible reminds us if our gospel is hid, it is hid to those who are lost and whom the God of this world has blinded them. Oh, we must make sure that we see the light, that we are not blinded. We're not blinded by the persecution. We're not blinded by all the many different things that can happen for sharing the good news of the gospel. But we must tell the truth. Well, Philip was one of those men who told the truth. He preached the good news in such a way that people came to hear about it, even though they knew their lives were at jeopardy. Well, you and I, we must make sure that we do the same. Even if our lives are held in jeopardy, even though it appears that we might stand before those to be tried for telling the good news of the gospel. I don't know about you, but I don't mind being persecuted for being Christian. I don't mind being persecuted for telling the truth. It's always a great victory. It's a great joy to say I did what Jesus asked me to do, as opposed to stand before the Lord and to hear him say, "Depart from me, I never knew you. You are a worker of iniquity." I don't know about you, but when I stand before the Lord, I want to hear him use those words. Well done, good and faithful servant. Today, my brothers and sisters, I want to remind you, you are exceedingly and abundantly blessed. God has a great blessing in store for you. Tell the good news of the gospel everywhere you go, and men and women, boys and girls will come crying out, "What must I do to be saved?" God bless you. Heaven smile upon you. I look forward to sharing with you again on tomorrow.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.